What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Beyond the Gray Media. This is Josh here, checking in on you out there in YouTube land. YouTube, how are you doing? Quickly checking in with you tonight. Just want to do a little beep bop boop, just a little something something. How are you doing? I really don't want to take a long time because I want to keep this review spoiler free as I can and just give you my honest out of theater reaction. I went with my nephew. He's in town from Louisiana, Mississippi area, and I thought it'd be really cool to take him to see Nosferatu. I told him I'd already watched it twice and he was pissed, and I was like, no, I've been saving it for you. I'm 4 days late. Everybody and their mom's seen it except for me, but now I can say with definity that I have seen Nosferatu, and we're going to get into what works, what didn't. This is spoiler free though. Thanks for being here. Wherever you're at, however you're doing, I appreciate it. Let's check it out. So, 2024's Christmas Day release of Nosferatu has to be the most anticipated film, I think, for a lot of horror hounds and a lot of people really all year. They've been hyping this thing up and there hasn't been a ton of promotion. It's just been kind of like this secret, like Christmas Day, where you're going to get the immortal, the next masterpiece from Robert Eggers. It's going to be the best thing since sliced bread, right? It is going to be a big deal. And Nosferatu, as far as the visuals and what happens in this film, delivers, right? This is a pretty powerful film as far as the way that it's filmed, cinematography, all of that stuff. I hate saying that word because it's like I'm some sort of filmmaker. I'm not. But the thing about Robert Eggers that I've always appreciated from all of his films is the way that he has so much detail and the way that he lines up his shots. It's like sometimes there'll be like flames and stuff in the background. He'll give people halos. There'll be stuff on the walls. Everything is done with purpose and precision, and I love that. He's one of my favorite directors, and every film thus far I have been a massive fan of. But that's not always the case the first time that I see them. So when I watched The Witch in the theater, I felt like I needed subtitles. The Witch has gone on, I've talked about quite a bit, that it's become one of my favorite films of his, but it wasn't that way in the theater. I was like, what in the hell? This is not what I thought. But it was very creepy and it did get into my bones a little bit. Now, and then the next film, The Lighthouse, I missed in the theater and I just devoured that thing. And I watched that probably once every 3 months. I absolutely adore The Lighthouse, and I think that I get something new out of it every time. The Northman I made sure to go see in the theater and it blew me away. I thought for how simple it was phenomenal. The visuals, everything. It's what we've come to expect. Now, Nosferatu, on the other hand, left me a little bit right down the middle, a little bit disappointed. Okay, I'm gonna get it out there. I don't know what I was expecting. I don't feel like my expectations were too high. I didn't really watch anybody's review. I tried to come into this thing as clean and as fresh as I could, and unfortunately I just felt underwhelmed, and it fucking sucks, man. It really sucks to feel that way about something that you were so excited for. And let me just kind of break it down. There's nothing wrong with the cast, right? Bill Skarsgård, Willem Dafoe, Lily Rose Depp, I thought did a great job. A lot of people I know like Nicholas Hoult. He kind of got on my nerves, in fact. But the guy that I really liked in this film was Aaron Taylor Johnson. I thought that he did an amazing job. Some of the problems with Nosferatu with me was it was just a little bit too long, I would say, at least 20 minutes, okay? It has a great intro when they're building the legend of Nosferatu. And, you know, the character Thomas decides that he's going to go and try to sell Count Orlok this castle, right? And he's going to move and he's going to start to inhabit it. And this is going to be all spoiler free as well. But the lead up to that, I thought had a lot of promises. Like, this is going to be my new favorite film. The way that it looks, the way that these sets are, the way that he's like transitioning from frame to frame, the colors, the palette, everything, the music. I was like, this is going to be some sort of amazing folktale. This is going to be something special. And then I just waited. I waited. The crowd, it was a full house. Nobody said a peep. Everybody was waiting on a scare. Everybody was waiting for this film to deliver, and it just didn't. It just didn't. I don't know what happened, but I feel like it had a really strong intro, and then nothing really kind of happened for about an hour. And I'm not saying that it was slow, because there is a lot to look at, but I don't feel like all the characters in this film are really necessary. There is a lot of, I would say, jump scares, and it's really hard to tell what's happening and what's not happening. Is this Count Orlok? Is this going to be some sort of like fake out dream sequence? There's just a lot of confusion, I think, as it's going, and I don't think that I liked Bill Skarsgård in this film. I think he kind of took me out of the movie, but I'm not going to say that it's Robert Eggers' fault. I think that Skarsgård, I think it's really, really noble and really, really impressive that he got his voice to get lowered by an octave or whatever by training it. I thought his vocals and his line delivery was great. I thought that his presence on screen was also great. But when it showed him on camera, this could be considered a spoiler. He looked like Professor Eggman, like he looked like Jim Carrey from the Sonic films, and it just took me out of the movie. I thought he looked so hokey and so cheesy, and I could not stand him as a vampire, especially not someone as esteemed as Count Orlok. The effects were cool. I thought that his actual look was pretty good, but it just didn't work for me. I kept seeing Professor Eggman with that mustache. Why did we have to give him a mustache? I don't understand. And then, finally, like, as the film kind of starts going, you're waiting for this big lead up, this epic battle where he's, gonna go find his love, who was Thomas's wife. And you've got Willem Dafoe, who's kind of almost like a Van Helsing character, if you will. And he's gonna be kind of shedding light on the film, and there's going to be this big showdown at the end, and all this stuff's going to happen, and it was just really, really, really anticlimactic, and that fucking sucks. That it really, really sucks. Now, this is a beautiful film to look at. It's got a pretty awesome soundtrack when there is some soundtrack. I thought otherwise it was pretty thin. There wasn't a lot of sound design, and I thought the vocals were really, really quiet. And I seen this in a Regal, and the audio was boosted to hell, and it was still kind of quiet. It was like everything was kind of far away. I heard some complaints about the actual dialect. I didn't have any problems with that. I was able to follow what everybody was saying, unless they were speaking, foreign language or whatever, like Orlok's native tongue, Lord Orlok, if you will. And then, there is some okay kills. There is hardly any gore. This is more like a gothic kind of fairy tale, almost like a reimagining of Nosferatu. And it just kind of felt like you were watching a play where it was done in 3 stages or 3 acts. And I'm not going to fault the director for that, because I know he put his heart and soul into it, and you can see it, but it just fell a little bit flat for me. This is probably my least favorite film of his, and maybe that will change with time, but I don't think so. I think that whatever I was expecting, this film just was not it for me. And I think if you don't like the way that the vampire, spoiler, if you don't like the way that the actual Count looks, that really makes it hard. I thought the same thing when I watched The New Salem's Lot, where you're expecting this Barlow character to be so intimidating, and it's all digital. You could see some digital in this. I know there was a lot of practical effects, but it almost felt rushed, or like it wasn't all the way thought out. And I know that's not how the director is, so I could be alone in that. I just thought for how much the runtime of 2 hours and 12 minutes, not a lot happened. There was barely any screen time for me for the actual Count and Nosferatu himself. There was definitely no comedy. There was definitely... I heard somebody say this was like a horny sexed up thing. I didn't see any of that. There's a little bit of moaning. I expected more, I guess. And I'm going to recommend maybe seeing it in theaters if you're a big fan of his work, because it is beautiful to look at, some of the scenes, but it just felt very, very kind of thin, kind of flat for this director, for me personally. And I think Skarsgård, I know he's in everything and everybody loves him, but can we get somebody else at this point? I need someone else to take on some of these big roles. I'm not a fan of The Crow. I'm not a fan. Like, he was great in Barbarian, and he's pretty good in that Castle Rock series. He does a serviceable job as Pennywise. But I just think that can the hype train for Skarsgård, can we tone that shit down a little bit? Because this is not it for me. This is one of the most iconic characters in horror history. The vampire is the ultimate horror character, and this deserved more. And I just felt like it was hokey and thin, and I could not stand the way that he looked. There at the end scene, that it's coming, because you're like, man, 2 hours and 12 minutes. When is something going to happen? When are we going to have the boss battle, the final fight? When is something going to happen? Because the daytime's coming, and it's so just pencil thin, and the way that he looks, I thought there was better effects in Midnight Mass, to be honest. Mike Flanagan would have done a better job with this, and that fucking It sucks to say. So, I got my nephew's review. He's gonna share it right afterwards. I'm going this Nosferatu. I'm going 6 out of 10 for the visuals and because of my love for the director. But yeah, it was not it for me. It was very, very overhyped, and it just really, really fell short. Thanks for being here, you guys. More stuff coming this week. Take care of yourselves. Love you. If you want to see more from me, please like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to my nephew's channel. He does kind of like video game reviews. He's going to leave his name. I'll add it in the trailer or the description. Take care. Cheers.
Hey, what's up? My name is Jacob. I'm from the channel Gamer Coasis, and today I watched the new movie Nosferatu. I don't want to give too much away from it, but I thought it was an okay movie. I thought some scenes were good, some scenes were garbage. The ending, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'd say it was a pretty solid movie. Ending was not to be expected from this. Some scenes were not expected. Jump scares were decent. Kills were mid to abysmal to me. Blood and gore effects, not to my my hype. Honestly, I'd say it's a 7 out of 10.